and you get a missile, and you get a missile, and you get a missile. Everybody gets a missile. Hello. I am Aoyalaipe, and I like to hop into top tier matches in War Thunder and then personally kill the entire enemy team by myself. Welcome to my channel. Hello everybody! I finally got around to playing the new F-2A ADTW premium for Japan, and I can tell that this is the most bought premium through my store link. You guys seem to really like this jet, so I finally got around to playing it. And it took me a while because Gaijin released that patch that broke everything, right? So I did the only reasonable thing, and I wandered off to go play Starfield. Starfield's a pretty good game now. A lot of updates, fix the rough edges, and you can mod it do basically whatever you want. And you can also build like a giant spaceship that just sort of steamrolls everything. But anyways, speaking of power fantasies in video games, this here is the new F-2A ADTW. And not only is this a very interesting plane, but this is going to be a very interesting match. There's going to be a lot of craziness and super close calls. Now, there is a lot of confusion around how both the infrared missiles and the radar missiles work on this thing. But I will be happy to explain and show you exactly how those work while I slaughter every single last person's lobby with them over and over and over and over again. Also, you remember how in the first two Guerrilla Warfare videos, a Nitro player tried to ambush me using this specific rock formation right over here? Yeah, it happened again! Like a shot-for-shot remake for the third time. This isn't a squadron bashing video or anything like that. That'll probably be my next video. I need to edit that footage of the other Intro Squad. It was only like the one guy. I don't make fun of them unless there's at least 2 or 3. So anyways, this is where things start getting spicy because I figured I could dodge at F5's shells at this range, and I was wrong. And like now my plane has some serious damage, and this map is way too small to land for repairs. I'm just gonna get bounced on the runway. So my only option is to kill this entire enemy team with a critically damaged jet. That is the only way out for me. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, so let me start by explaining this plane. There are 2 versions of the F2 in-game. There's a tech tree one that gets Fox 3s and AAM 3s. That's just called the F-2A. And the AAM 3 is essentially just a slightly better version of the AIM-9M. And then there's a premium version called the F-2A ADTW. That's what I have here. And that one gets Fox 1s and AAM 3s, so no Fox 3s. The F-2 is a Japanese variant of the F-16. And the main difference is that the F-2 gets 8 missiles instead of 6. Most F-16s only get 6. And the flight model of the F-2 is a little different. Basically, the F-2 turns harder, but it has less energy retention. So it's almost like flying a delta wing version of the F-16. So it's very similar to the F-16's flight model. I'm not really going to elaborate because the F-16 flight model is just amazing. There's really nothing I could add. Like, if you want a thing that flies well, this thing flies well. And that actually really saves me right here, because I didn't realize that my plane's ability to pull up had been damaged as I was diving to the ground. I was legitimately amazed I did not crash there. I came very, very close to flying into a bunch of obstacles. That was a complete accident. That was not ninja skills on my part. And like, this thing's flight model is good enough it could bail me out of that kind of problem. Anyways, the missiles. Okay, so I know y'all want me to explain the AIM-9M nerf that just happened, but I'm actually going to start with the radar missiles, because the problems with those are actually a lot more straightforward. It's just a button you need to press. So, the F-2A gets a great radar, and great radar missiles. Nothing amazing, but, it's really solid. And when I first tried it, the radar sucked, and nothing about it or the missiles worked right. Which is really weird because the radar is supposed to be really good on this thing. So I asked around and heard some people loved the radar and some people hated the radar. It was a very mixed response. And then I went onto the forums and there were a lot of confused discussions, and someone mentioned a target cyclicking or whatever. I was like, oh, I have an idea. And I turned this button off in the settings and then my radar worked perfectly. And then I pretty much immediately started killing entire teams with this thing. I had a 15-0 match after 2 tries after I did that. So I'm still not entirely sure what the problem was, but turning that button off fixed it for me. Now let's get to the AAM 3s. As I previously said, the AAM 3s are basically just AIM-9Ms that are very, very slightly better. And AIM-9Ms, and also the AAM 3, got nerfed in TTA, top tier air arcade, right in the most recent patch. So before the patch, these missiles were almost impossible to flare. So they are infrared missiles, yes, But from a tactical perspective, this meant they kind of filled the role of a very short range slash kind of slow Fox 3, and that kind of bridged the gap between planes that have Fox 3s and planes that don't have Fox 3s. Like, even if you got an up tier, if you had AIM-9Ms, you'd still be competitive against Fox 3 jets, and basically what that meant was you could kind of break the game if you ran around shooting people in the face. I made a whole video with the Gripen where I showed you how to ruin the game with math doing that. It's called Gripen Cyberbullies Noobs with Math. And anyways, after I made that video, guy just decided to fix it, so bummer. I don't know if that was a coincidence or not, probably was. I know people are gonna say, "Bro, we've been complaining about AIM-9Ms forever." I'm like, yeah, but War Thunder players always complain about everything, alright? Like, also, I wanted to just quickly explain what happened like a second ago in the background footage. I had 4 very good shots with my AM3s and I took them, I killed 4 people. And then there was a horde of enemy players flying towards me and all I had were my Fox 1 radar missiles, right? That I can only kill 1 target at a time with. So I decided to just fly away and jettison them because I wasn't going to be able to kill just 1 target without getting swarmed by the others unless I flew away. And, you know, I could, basically just get a tactical reload going. And I did wind up getting chased by this MiG-23 player who's probably angry I've been killing everyone. That, or I just look like an easy target because I'm in a premium that's trailing smoke. And since I'm unarmed, I just set him up to get third party and he dies. Also, this jet actually, in theory, can lock multiple targets with Fox 1s at the same time, but the settings and the controls to do that are complicated enough that, in my opinion, I cannot use those and maintain situational awareness at the same time. Like, I don't want to be fiddling with the radar if I'm dealing with, like, 4 targets at close range. Like, I want to just be able to use ACM mode. Anyways, a whole lot of enemy players actually started chasing me through that little canyon, including this MiG-29 here, who was behind me while my flares were reloading. It looks like he's going for a flashy gun kill instead of a nice, reliable, close-range missile kill. So I just step on a shot and then send him up to be killed by my airfield's AAA, which works, so bye-bye MiG-29. You see the plane on fire right there? Yeah, that's him. I once said that you should think of top-tier air arcade like you're fighting to the death in a Bed Bath & Beyond. Like, you might as well throw the kitchen sink at the other guy. I mean, it's not even your kitchen sink, right? Anyways, we got a little off track there. So, the way the AIM-9M family of missiles works now, like the way you use them, is that they are very easy to flare from the front and rear aspects. But they're hard to flare from the side aspects. So, even though it's an infrared missile, you don't necessarily want to get right behind someone. Instead, you want to try to shoot them from the side. It's weird though, when I tested AIM-9M/AM3s out in a custom battle with people who knew what they were doing, it seemed to be a lot more flareable than it is in public lobbies, like this public lobby right here that I'm currently massacring. From actually using them in battle in practice, it seems to me that how quickly someone reacts has a huge effect on how easy it is to flare the AIM-9M. Like, if someone doesn't react quickly enough, it seems to be very hard to dodge it from the front or rear aspect, and especially the side. And I know this is true for all missiles, but it seems to be particularly true with this one. But when I test that theory out in a custom battle, it doesn't seem to work the way it seems to in a public battle. Also, if that MiG-29 player from a minute ago is watching, that is how you go for a flashy gun kill. So, it's not that I'm shooting at people with AIM-9Ms who don't know the missile's coming, it's that they might not immediately see it and then they have a delayed reaction. A delayed reaction seems to almost always kill them in a public lobby, like more so than if they have a delayed reaction to other missiles. But when I test that in a custom match against like people who really know what they're doing, that doesn't seem to matter. So I'm not sure why this delayed reaction thing seems to matter so much, but that's how I've been using it in practice in battles, and it's worked. So, I don't know, I might be right for the wrong reasons, I don't know. But it kills people. In fact, it kills everyone. It doesn't seem like it should, but it does, and I will do that here. You're watching a video of me doing that right now. So, what all of this comes together to mean is that the AIM-3 is still a pretty good missile, but it's not an infallible missile. The AIM-9M family is no longer some infallible killing machine. So what that means is if there's an alert player who's like really gunning for you, if there's like one person you really need to kill or you really need dead, the AIM-3s won't do you much good on this thing. But the AIM-7s will. If you need one specific person dead, the AIM-7s are fantastic for that. In effect, you have all of your bases covered. The AIM-3 is really good at killing lots of relatively easy targets, and the AIM-7M is really good at killing small numbers of difficult targets. So you can use the AIM-3s to make low-risk, high-speed flanking attacks, and then switch to the AIM-7 when failure isn't an option, and you really need like one specific guy to die. And for how to like actually make that happen? I'll explain in a minute, because the background footage here is something interesting happened. So first of all, as you can see, even a fairly slow target can flare an AAM-3 in the rear aspect from close range if they act quickly enough. But what was interesting here is that I killed this guy at almost the exact same time an F5 appeared in a very similar place on my main map, so I didn't realize it was an F5 shooting at me. So I basically just get completely ambushed, and he winds up in a perfect position to kill me, but I'm near my airfield, so I just wind up stepping on shots and then baiting him into flying to the AAA fire, and just like I did that MiG-29, and he also dies. Look, fair fights are for losers, and I have left a trail of very angry players who can attest to that fact. I actually once made a whole video just sort of mocking a guy who just completely freaked out and got like super racist when I just kept baiting him into AAA fire. And like, it was a Chinese plane, so he assumed I was Asian and just started like insulting Asians, but like, I'm not Asian. So I was like, what? So anyways, the way this whole plane sort of comes together is that you have a really fast, agile plane that struggles a little bit in the energy retention department, but has a missile that is really good at killing people who don't immediately see it. And you also have some radar missiles that are good for picking off like 1 or 2 very high value targets. And what that means is that this jet is extremely good at terrain ambushing. It's very good on a mountain map like this one. If you want to hide behind a rock and kill people, this is a fantastic plane for that. If you pop out from cover, people will take a second to notice you're there. So if you immediately shoot an AM-3 at people, that means your target will often have a delayed response, which will get them killed for some reason. I'm not sure what the reason is, but it seems to kill them. Look, I don't have all the answers, I just have all of the kills. And if you're on a flat map, a really good trick is actually to just double tap people. You shoot a radar missile at someone, and then you tilt upwards and loft an AAM-3 up and over at them. Even if you're close enough to the ground, they can just multi-pat the radar missile coming right at them. They probably won't notice that there is also an AAM-3 descending from the heavens towards them. Now, right here in the background footage, I absolutely hose this F8 with missiles. Everything I have, I just unload on him. Now, you might think that's because F8s are really scary planes, I'm always saying that, but actually, this is the French version of the F8, and the French version sucks. The real reason I hosed him with missiles is actually because, honestly, I just wanted to make it a 20-0 kill streak, so I wanted to be absolutely sure he died before the game ended. Oh, and just a completely disjointed fun fact, I forgot to put this in an earlier video, but it's funny, so whatever I'm putting here. You guys know Greenlandic Gamer, the guy who makes the shorts? Yeah, so he's actually from Greenland, which is part of Denmark, so I decided to make him a custom Greenland skin for the new Danish squadron jet, so it can be a truly Greenlandic fighter. And here it is. Either you get the joke or you don't. But I thought it was pretty funny. I actually did upload this to live.warthunder. It's my first skin there, and I'll give a link to it in the description. You can easily adapt this to any other Draken in the game, or honestly, you can adapt it to a lot of planes that are not the Draken, given that the skin is completely untextured apart from the text. But anyways, I'm not here to laugh at Greenland. I don't want to insult the future 51st state. I'm here to laugh about how an F5 damaged me, and then I turned the tables, killed his entire team by myself while critically damaged, and then put it on YouTube. And that, my friends, is the funniest way I've ever denied someone credit for a kill assist. If you want to buy this plane, you can get a slight discount if you use my store link in the description, but you won't get my custom decal yet because it's not out yet. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like and comment to feed the algorithm, and if you subscribe or ring the bell, you won't need to remember how to spell AOLIPay next time you want to watch one of my videos.